there's something I wish someone had told me years ago. Something simple but powerful enough to change the entire direction of a person's life. When you take control of your money, you take control of your life. I didn't understand that back then. Honestly, I didn't even believe it. I thought money was just money. Something stressful, something unpredictable, something I had to deal with but could never really master. But one day, everything changed. Not because I earned more, not because I got lucky, but because life forced me to face the truth about my relationship with money. It started with a message from the bank. A simple notification on my phone. Your balance is below the minimum. I stared at the screen, heart sinking. Again? Really? I had just gotten paid 2 weeks earlier. But after bills, food, transport, a few unplanned expenses, I was already close to zero. I felt embarrassed, even though no one else knew. I felt trapped, like I had no power, no direction, no control. That night, I sat at my desk with a notebook and wrote one sentence. Why does money control me? At first, I didn't have an answer. I just felt shame. But then a realization hit me so clearly that I had to stop and breathe. Money controlled me because I had never learned how to control it. I wasn't stupid. I wasn't lazy. I was simply uninformed. No one taught me how money worked. No one explained saving, budgeting, investing, planning. Like many people, I was thrown into adult life without a map. And that lack of control shaped everything. My stress, my choices, my opportunities, my confidence. Around that time, I visited my aunt, a woman who had raised 3 kids on a small salary. I always thought she must have struggled financially like I did. But when I walked into her home, I noticed something strange. She was calm, peaceful, unhurried. We sat down for tea, and I asked her, "Auntie, how do you stay so relaxed about money?" She smiled gently, the kind of smile that comes from years of wisdom, and said, "Because I decided long ago that money would never be the boss of my life." She told me her story, how she used to panic every month, how she felt ashamed asking for help, how she hated the fear of unexpected bills. One day, she said, she looked at her children sleeping and made a decision. I won't let my lack of financial knowledge limit their future. She began tracking her money, saving small amounts, learning how to invest little by little, teaching herself basic financial skills from newspapers and conversations. She didn't become rich, but she became secure, free, in control. And watching her speak with such stability made me realize control isn't about having more money. It's about using the money you have with intention. That conversation changed me. It planted a seed in my mind. If she could do it with far less, I could do it too. The first thing I did was the simplest. I tracked every expense for 1 month, and it shocked me. I wasn't bad with money. I was simply unaware of where it was going. Suddenly, I saw patterns. Unnecessary spending, emotional purchases, small daily habits that added up to huge amounts monthly. With that awareness came power. I cut what didn't matter. I saved what I could. I set tiny goals. I created a simple budget. Nothing fancy, just clarity. But something unexpected happened along the way. As I gained control of my money, I gained control of myself. I became more disciplined, more confident, more hopeful, less impulsive, less anxious, less afraid. Money wasn't just numbers. It was the reflection of my choices, my values, my direction. And for the first time in my life, that direction was finally mine. When I started controlling my money, small changes began appearing everywhere. I slept better. I made decisions without fear. I stopped saying I can't and started asking, how can I? I learned new skills. I started a small side income. I invested tiny amounts. Life didn't magically become easy, but it became clearer. The biggest transformation wasn't financial. It was emotional. I was no longer drowning. I was steering. I wasn't reacting. I was choosing. I wasn't surviving. I was building. Control gave me something I hadn't felt in years: hope. If there's one thing I learned from all of this, it's this. Financial control isn't about becoming rich. It's about reclaiming your life. Because when you take control of your money, your stress decreases, your confidence rises, your choices expand, your opportunities appear, your future becomes yours again. Money touches every part of life, so when you take control of it, you change every part of your life too. And maybe, right now, you're where I once was, tired, overwhelmed, unsure where to begin. If that's you, let me tell you something gently but truthfully. You don't need to earn more to start. You just need to start. Start small. Start simple. Start today. Because the moment you take control, even a little, everything begins to shift. And one day, not long from now, you'll look back and say the same words I say now. Taking control of my money was the day I started taking control of my life. For most of my life, I thought financial freedom meant having a lot of money. A big house, a fancy car, luxury, comfort, security. But the deeper I went into this journey, the more I realized something unexpected. Freedom isn't about having everything. Freedom is about not being controlled by anything. Not by debt, not by fear, not by payday, not by the dread of checking your account balance. There was one morning, I remember it vividly, when this hit me. I was making coffee, sunlight barely creeping through the window, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel that tightness in my chest, the one that usually showed up when I thought about money. I wasn't rich. I wasn't financially free in the Instagram sense, but I had a plan. I had structure. I was in control. And that feeling, that calm, was the first taste of real freedom. I realized that freedom is not a destination. It's a relationship. A healthy, intentional relationship with money. A few months later, I had lunch with an old friend, someone I admired for his discipline. He wasn't wealthy, at least not by society's standards, but he seemed anchored, grounded, in control. I told him about my new habits, my budgeting journey, and how everything felt different now. He listened quietly, then asked me one simple question. Do you know the difference between people who stay stuck and people who get ahead? I shrugged. Luck? He shook his head. No, awareness. He leaned forward and said something I'll never forget. Most people avoid looking at their money because they're afraid of what they'll find. But the people who grow, they face the numbers, even when it hurts. It was so true, it stung. He then shared a piece of his own story. Years ago, he had quietly struggled with credit card debt. He never told anyone. He felt ashamed. But one night, overwhelmed, he sat down and wrote out every debt he owed. All of it, on a single sheet of paper. He cried while doing it. But that moment, facing the truth, was the turning point. He told me, "You can't change what you refuse to confront." That sentence rewired my thinking. I went home and reviewed my finances with a new level of honesty. Every subscription, every purchase, every unnecessary habit. It wasn't comfortable, but it was liberating. Because this time, I wasn't running. I was taking full ownership. The most surprising thing about taking control of money is how it transforms areas of life that seem completely unrelated. Suddenly, I started waking up earlier, not out of discipline, but because anxiety wasn't keeping me up until 2 a.m. I communicated better in relationships, because I wasn't scared of talking about responsibilities. I stopped comparing my life to others, because I understood my own path and what I wanted. I became more intentional, with time, with people, with goals. Even my health improved. Stress has a way of draining you quietly, and when that stress lightened, my energy came back. Everything in life is connected. People think money is separate, a category, a compartment, a box you keep tucked away. But the truth is, money is the invisible thread woven through every decision you make. So when you straighten that thread, every part of life becomes clearer. This was the moment I understood why people say, fix your finances and you fix your future. Because it's not the money you're fixing, it's your mindset, your habits, your sense of direction. As the months passed, control turned into something even more powerful: possibility. I started seeing opportunities I had completely overlooked before. That online course I once thought was too expensive, now I could budget for it. That idea for a small side business I kept doubting, now I had emergency savings, so the fear was smaller, the risk was manageable. That dream of traveling someday, now it felt realistic, not impossible. When you don't control your money, you live in survival mode. Your brain is too busy worrying to think creatively or see opportunities. But when you do take control, you become resourceful, you become strategic, you become open to growth. I even remember the exact moment I invested my first $100. It felt tiny, almost laughable. But emotionally, it felt huge because it represented a different identity. Someone who builds the future, not someone who waits for it. That's when I realized, possibility doesn't show up when you get rich. Possibility shows up when you get disciplined. The last transformation is the one no one talks about enough. You become a new version of yourself. Not richer, at least not right away, not more successful in a flashy way, but stronger, more grounded, more purposeful, more aligned with your life goals. Taking control of your money changes your identity from, I hope things get better, to, I am making things better. From, I don't know where my money goes, to, I know exactly what I'm building. From, I wish I had options, to, I choose my options. And when you step into this identity, the identity of someone who is intentional, focused, and empowered, you stop waiting for life to change. You start creating the change. If someone asked me today what the real reward of taking control of your money is, I'd say this. It's the quiet confidence, the peace of mind, the clarity, the vision, the ability to breathe without fear of tomorrow. Because once you take control of your money, you stop surviving and you start living. And that changes absolutely everything. If this message touched something inside you, stay with me. Hit subscribe and let's keep growing, learning, and building our freedom together.